Hi, what's up, you guys? This is your girl Sew It with Brit, and welcome back again to my YouTube channel. Today, I am going to share you guys 4 of my favorite sleeve styles pattern making: circular, bell, lantern, and bishop sleeves. And also in this tutorial, we will dwell on a pattern making technique called the slash and spread. Before we start this tutorial, make it sure to hit that subscribe and bell button to be notified with my new tutorials. And if you are new to my channel, make it sure to check out my other sewing and pattern making tutorials. These are the tools and the materials that I'll be using for this tutorial: basic sleeve block, paper and fabric scissors, pencil and eraser, pattern weights, fashion rulers, masking tape, dressmaker's pins, measuring tape, 2 yards of fabric, and lots of pattern paper. The first lesson we will learn today is circular sleeve pattern making. First, trace the dartless sleeve block on your pattern paper only until the elbow line. Complete all of the lines: elbow line, grain line, and the bicep line. From the bicep line, mark down 2 inches and extend a horizontal line. Next, divide the back and front bicep lines by 4. I'll be using 1/4 inches to divide each of my bicep line. Next, extend vertical lines from the 6 marks, making slash lines. Don't forget to label the sections by number to avoid confusion. Now, we can cut the pattern from the paper and put it aside. Next, get another pattern paper and extend a horizontal guideline. The line should be at least 2 inches from the edge of your paper. We will use this guideline to spread the sleeve. It will look something like this. Next, I am going to slash the lines of the sleeve from hemline to the cap, but I will not cut it through. Again, you guys, don't cut through. Once all of the sections are slashed, we can now move on to the spreading. When spreading the section towards the guideline, make it sure that the cap is also touching or parallel to the guideline. Spread the underarm seam of the sleeve, sections 1 and 8, touching the horizontal guideline. And spread the rest of the sections evenly. Next, using your tape to secure in place sections 1 and 8 and the cap of the sleeve. Once you are satisfied with the spread, tape to secure in place the rest of the sections. After the sticky situation, we can now redraw the lines from section 8 to 1, making a circular hemline for the sleeve. Don't forget to mark the grain line or the center line for notching. So, if you like a clean pattern, redraw the lines on the cap of the sleeve and the underseam lines. So as you guys can see, I've transferred my pattern with sewing allowances on my underseam. And lastly, I'm going to cut the pattern on a bias just like how we cut the circle skirt. Et voila! So this is the frontal view of the circular sleeve. I must say it's so beautiful and it falls beautifully on the bias. And the side view, it's more beautiful on the side view. The flares are more noticeable. And of course, the back view. The back view is the same with the front view. Overall, I am satisfied with the results of my circular sleeve and I hope you guys are too. Anyway, next up, the bell sleeve pattern making. First, trace the dartless sleeve block on your pattern paper. From the bicep line, mark down 3 inches. And draw a horizontal line. For the bell sleeve, we are going to have 3 sections, which are the short sleeve. It is 3 inches down from the bicep line. The elbow length. And the wrist length or long sleeve. Next, divide the bicep and elbow lines by 3, making 2 marks. In this case, I'll be using my 1/4 inches as this pattern doesn't have to be divided equally. Connect the bicep and elbow marks, making 2 slash lines. Do the same procedure for the front part of the sleeve. And again, label the sections by number. And now we can cut the sleeve pattern from the paper. Next, slash the lines of the sleeve from hemline to the cap but do not cut through. Next, get another piece of paper and place the slashed sleeve on top. For the spreading, we will work on sections 4 and 3 first. Using your sticky tape, tape to secure in place section 4 first. From section 4, mark out 4 inches. And place section 3 touching the 4 inches mark and tape to secure in place. From section 3, mark out 4 inches. And place section 2 touching the 4 inches mark and tape to secure in place. From section 2, mark out 4 inches. And place section 1 touching the 4 inches mark and tape to secure in place, including the side seam. Next, spread the remaining front sleeve sections with 4 inches marks in between. And now, we can redraw the hemlines for the sleeves. First, I will draw the wrist length. Next, redraw the hemline for the elbow length. And lastly, redraw the hemline for the short sleeve. And here you go, guys. This whole pattern can be traced on a new piece of paper to make a sleeve for your own preference. And speaking of tracing, I am going to trace the sleeve until the elbow length. So here's my traced bell sleeve, elbow length. And lastly, I am going to cut this pattern on the grain line and sew it on the side seams. Et voila! So this is the frontal view of my bell sleeve, and as you guys can see, there are less flares. Here is the side view, same thing with the frontal, less flares but shape of a bell. And the back view, same thing for the front and side views, flares are not so prominent. So here I compared the circular sleeve and bell sleeve, and it isn't supposed to have a lot of flares, it's supposed to be shaped like a bell. Next up is the lantern sleeve pattern making. First, trace the dartless sleeve block on your pattern paper. Divide back and front bicep line by 4. I'll be using 1/4 inches to divide each of my bicep line. Next, divide back and front wrist by 4, making 3 marks on each side. Next, connect the bicep and wrist marks, making 6 slash lines. And again, label the sections by number. From the hemline, mark up 4 inches and draw a horizontal line. This is the style line or seam line for the lantern sleeve. And again, label the sections by number. Next, cut the sleeve from the paper and cut on the style line, making 2 parts. So now we have 2 parts, the upper sleeve and the lower sleeve. Next, slash the lines of the upper sleeve and slash the lines of the lower sleeve from the style line to the wrist. For spreading, we will work on the upper sleeve first. Tape to secure section 4 first. From section 4, mark out 2 inches. Place section 5 touching the 2 inches mark and tape to secure in place. From section 5, mark out 2 inches. Place section 6 touching the 2 inches mark and tape to secure in place. From section 6, mark out 2 inches. Place section 7 touching the 2 inches mark and tape to secure in place. From section 7, mark out 2 inches. Place section 8 touching the 2 inches mark and tape to secure in place, including the side seam. Next, spread the remaining back sleeve sections with 2 inches marks in between. And next, we will redraw the style line or seam line. Next, locate the half of sections 2 and 3 and mark down 1 inch. And again, redraw the style line or seam line. Put aside the upper sleeve pattern and let's work on the lower sleeve. Like the upper sleeve, spread the lower sections with 2 inches marks in between. Next, redraw the style line or seam line. Add sewing allowance on the style line and the side seams of your pattern for sewing. Cut all of the patterns from the paper. And here are my patterns for the lantern sleeve. I will attach the upper and lower sleeve on the style line, which will give a lantern effect. Next, I am going to cut both of my patterns on the grain line. And there you go. I'm just going to sew this and it will be ready. Et voila! This is the frontal view of my lantern sleeve, and as you guys can see, the shape looks great, and even when I'm using a light fabric, there's still structure on my sleeve. This is the side view, and if you've noticed, I've sewn the upper and lower sleeves together and the seam or the style line is visible. And this is the back view. The back area is lower than the front because of the 1 inch extension from our pattern earlier. Next up is the bishop sleeve pattern making. For the bishop sleeve, mark out 3 inches from the hemline. And extend a horizontal line. This will be the cuff for the bishop sleeve. Next, divide back and front bicep line by 4. I'll be using 1/4 inches to divide each of my bicep line. Next, divide the back and front style line by 4, making 3 marks each side. Next, connect the bicep and style line marks, making 6 slash lines. And again, label the sections by number. And now, we can cut the patterns from the paper. And in here, we have the upper sleeve and the cuff. Next, slash the lines of the upper sleeve, and again, you guys do not cut through. Next, tape to secure in place section 4. From section 4, mark out 2/4 inches. Place section 5 touching the 4/8 inches mark and tape to secure in place. From section 5, mark out 2/4 inches. Place section 6 touching the 2/4 inches mark and tape to secure in place. From section 6, mark out 2/4 inches. Place section 7 touching the 2/4 inches mark and tape to secure in place. From section 7, mark out 2/4 inches and place section 8 touching the 2/4 inches mark and tape to secure in place, including the side seam. Next, spread the remaining back sleeve sections with 2/4 inches marks in between. Next, we will redraw the style line or seam line. Locate the half of sections 2 and 3 and mark down 1 inch. And again, redraw the style line or seam line. And of course, I will put sewing allowances on the side seam line, and cut it out from the paper. So here are my patterns for the bishop sleeve. And here's my cuff complete with sewing allowances. Remember that the bottom part of the upper sleeve should be gathered before attaching to the cuff. Next, I am going to cut my patterns on the grain line including my cuff. And lastly, I will sew this and it will be ready. Et voila! So this is the frontal view of my bishop sleeve. And as you guys can see, I achieved the volume that I wanted thanks to the gathering effect. And this is the side view. I am in love with the side view. The volume is there and it looks so neat. And this is the back view. I am so in love with the back view. The volume is there and I love it. And as usual, the back area is lower as we did on the pattern. Anyways, you guys, yay, we are done. I really do hope these patterns will help you for your new projects or your new designs for the sleeves. Anyways, you guys, if you like this video, give it a huge thumbs up. And if you are not subscribed yet to my YouTube channel, so with Brit, make it sure to hit that subscribe and bell button to be notified with my new tutorials. I'll see you guys again on my next tutorial.